Welcome to B Movies with Booze. I am your host, Mr. B, and today we are going to finally get into part two, that is, of our review of Dudley Do Right and why it just does not work as a film. Come back after the credits to see why I'm so crazy. Welcome to B Movies with Booze. I'm going to give you a full disclaimer here. I don't think there is enough alcohol in the world for me to sit through this movie again. I did this. It makes me angry. All of the things I love about melodrama, all of the things I love about Brendan Fraser were combined in not the delicious peanut butter and chocolate kind of way or the delicious chocolate and bacon kind of way. Combined together, it's what happens if you eat a Snickers bar and a Three Musketeers bar. The different kinds of weird sugary insides make you throw up.
Ooh, one down. I know somebody who won't be having any.
And this is exactly what this film does. We are going to go ahead and go right into it. Dudley Do Right. It's a 1999 film. It's based on the original Dudley Do Right. It has Brendan Fraser in the starring role. Sarah Jessica Parker is in it. Alfred Molina is in it. Eric Idle is in it. It is directed by Hugh Wilson. Hugh Wilson. Now, this guy is awesome. He did the show. He created WKRP in Cincinnati, which I loved as a show. It is a funny show. You can watch clips of it on YouTube. I'm sure it's somewhere in some, TV Land or Hulu or something too. WKRP is great. He directed Police Academy. Police Academy. I love Police Academy. I quote Police Academy. I like everything about Police Academy. Except for this one time when I went to the Blue Oyster Bar. No, I'm just kidding. But I love Police Academy. I love all of the Police Academies. Even the ones that everyone says are terrible. I watch them. I laugh. So we have a director who does comedy. Directing a movie about comedy, melodrama. All he has to do is take the story of Dudley Do Right and adapt it so that it is funny. I'm pumped. I'm thinking this is going to be a fantastic movie. I'm very, very, very excited about this director. Brendan Fraser, as I mentioned in my last review, he did the Mummy movies. I love the Mummy movies. This was before I saw him in some other roles, so I'm very excited to see him. He's funny. I like Brendan Fraser. He is a good guy as far as being a good hero in a movie. He was the hero I wanted in The Mummy. I felt like he was going to bring that to Dudley Do Right, and so I was very excited about it. Sarah Jessica Parker. I'll level with you. I know that she was in Hocus Pocus, I think. According to the Wikipedia, she is. I'm sure I'm going to hear about it. I don't watch Sex and the City. I don't watch Hocus Pocus. I don't watch The First Wives Club. I don't watch any of the stuff she's in. And it's not because I don't like her. It's just not my cup of tea. She's very famous for those shows. Good on her. Whatever. Alfred Molina? Alfred Molina? Yeah, let's go with that. Alfred Molina. He is in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He does some other movies. He was in The Da Vinci Code. He was in some other movies later. Da Vinci Code, obviously, being later than 1999. I didn't know him when I started watching Dudley Do Right. So I don't have a lot of good or bad to say about him in that way. Born in England, British American. Okay, great. Eric Idle. Oh, goodness gracious. What could I say about Eric Idle? The man he's from Monty Python. He's from Monty Python. You have Eric Idle from Monty Python working on a movie with the guy who directed Police Academy. What could go wrong? As Bubsy the Bobcat would say. I was so excited to see him in this movie. I thought, surely this will be funny. Oh, I was so disappointed. The movie, Dudley Do Right. The plot is very, very simple. It starts with 3 children and 1 horse. Young Snively Whiplash, young Dudley Do Right, young Nell Fenwick. They all talk about their prospective careers as they grow up. And of course, they all fulfill their roles. Dudley Do Right becomes a Mountie. Snively Whiplash is an evil villain. And Nell Fenwick is basically a heroine. She's the female hero. While this is going on in their town, Snively Whiplash, I call him Snidely, sometimes I call him Snively because there are other melodramas where the bad guy is named Snively. It's a play on the word sniveling, so just go with it. Snidely Whiplash robs a bank, and he spreads the gold around to make it look like there's a gold rush in his town. He buys up all the land, kicks out all the people, and he turns into a real estate baron. Bad guy is a real estate baron. I feel like this has been done before somewhere, but I can't place my finger on it. So the fellow who discovers the gold is Eric Idle's character, Prospector Kim Darling. He discovers it. So it turns out over the course of the movie, there are some things that happen. One of my complaints, and I got used to it later, but one of my initial complaints was that the voice of Snively Whiplash was all wrong. It was a little bit British. Knowing that he was a British actor later, I kind of have forgiven him of that. He had the high-pitched sniveling voice, which I did like that. The costuming in this movie was dead on. Everyone looked their part. Now, whether or not they acted their part, we're going to get to that. So, as the movie goes along, the basic plot is that Snively Whiplash is running the town. He's a real estate baron. He's a bad guy because he's a real estate baron. Also because he robbed a bank, but they kind of lose that in the middle of everything. In order for Dudley Do Right to get with Nell Fenwick, he decides to go rogue and become evil. Okay, well, he becomes sort of bad. Okay, well, he puts on a leather jacket and rides a motorcycle because now that makes him a bad boy, apparently. The movie continues. They go through different kinds of things. Snidely Whiplash's plot is ultimately discovered. Dudley Do Right, thanks to the Eric Idle character, he is the sidekick to Dudley Do Right because horses ran off, and we're going to talk about horse in a moment. The sidekick gets him back on track. There are Indians involved, and I'm using the word Indian because that is the word they use. I don't need any social justice people, thank you. That is the word they use. Dudley Do Right teams up with the Indians, and of course there's Mounties brought involved, and the plot just goes off the rails, quite literally in a few cases, with tanks being involved. Snidely Whiplash has access to tanks and machine guns for some reason, in a film that sort of takes place in the past, but sort of takes place now. The setting is a little bit confusing. All in all, it ends up that, Dudley Do Right gets his job back. Dudley Do Right gets kicked out of the Mounties for a while. He gets his job back, and everything ends just fine. Let's go through the characters. Snidely Whiplash. His voice at first got on my nerves, but I got over that. He looks the part. One of the things that really upset me about his character, though, was that it was 33 minutes into this movie before I hear an evil laugh. He robs the bank in the first 10 minutes of the movie. Why didn't I hear an evil laugh? The hallmark of a villain is the evil laugh. And his evil laugh was the almost like Wario. And Wario, I guess, is a good example of a villain. He doesn't have the handlebar mustache going, but, we'll let that go. The evil laugh, I would have preferred a more Dr. Evil kind of but it reminded me of my days of Mario Karting on the Nintendo 64. So that was one of my issues with the Snidely Whiplash character. There were some uses of dynamite. Dynamite is very important in melodrama. But there was a severe lack of tying people to railroad tracks. That is something that is in every melodrama. Snidely Whiplash in the Dudley Do Right cartoon Open ties people to the railroad tracks. So there was a severe lack of railroad track tying down. Of course, if this movie takes place in the modern era, railroads are not as big as they were in the old days, but I still would have liked to have seen more people being tied up to things, because that's what villains do. Let's look at the horse character. They do some CGI stuff with horse that is really weird. It was during the age of CGI first coming to fruition, and so everyone throws it in everything. So there was a lot of that. Horse, and there's also some weird scenes with horse and Dudley Do Right. The relationship is almost inappropriate, and that wasn't the point of a melodrama. That wasn't the point of his relationship with horse. It was supposed to be an innocent relationship with horse as a beloved pet, not the creepy, weird place they went with it. I was just very uncomfortable by that. Okay, so I've ranted about horse. Oh, and fart jokes. Why are there fart jokes in this movie? That is not melodrama. Melodrama was done during the Victorian era. There would not be fart jokes. Why are there fart jokes in this movie? They don't need to be there. Okay, I'm going to calm down. All right. We're going to talk about Sarah Jessica Parker as the heroine. She does okay. Yeah, I guess I could really get mad about it, but she does okay. Yeah, that's it. That's all I had on that. That sounds terrible, right? I should have more. She looked the part. Let's talk about Eric Idle. I love Monty Python. I can quote the movie all the time. I love not just Quest for the Holy Grail, although I am partial to that. I love Life with Brian. I loved The Flying Circus. Pretty much anything these guys are in, the Monty Python group, I watch. It's funny. It's funny stuff. It's British comedy. British comedy's funny. There aren't fart jokes in British comedy. Okay, there are fart jokes in British comedy. But nevertheless, I didn't really understand his character at first. I was very confused what was going on with him. At one point, he gives Dudley Do Right a chainsaw. I don't even know what to do with that. I don't even know how to handle that. It just didn't make sense. Before I get to Dudley Do Right, I do want to talk a little bit about a couple of plot things that irked me. One of the major plot things, and there's this scene where Dudley Do Right is investigating the people looking for gold. There's this gold rush thing going on. Snidely Whiplash is trying to bring about the gold rush so he can buy the town. It's very early in the movie. And at one point, he's speaking to Dudley Do Right, and he tells him to look out because there's vampires. Yes, vampires. Why are there vampires in my melodrama? They don't belong there. It shouldn't be there. That was the dumbest plot thing I'd ever seen. It doesn't need to be there. Okay, calm down. I don't understand the vampire thing. Snidely could have literally came up with any other reason for Dudley Do Right to not be out at night. He could have made up any number of 100 reasons that would have made sense either in the frame of melodrama itself or even the plot of the movie. He could have said there were wolves out. He could have said that there were angry beavers out. But why are there vampires in my movie? They shouldn't be there! It doesn't make any sense! Okay. Sorry. Maybe I'm just mad about vampires because of Twilight, because those aren't vampires. Maybe I'm mad about vampires because, I don't know. I mean, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I think, was out at this point. But it doesn't make any sense! Okay. All right. Okay. Other plot things that made me angry. There was a severe lack of talking to the fourth wall. They didn't break the fourth wall. And you can break the fourth wall and still be funny. Deadpool, Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie breaks the fourth wall in My Little Pony all the time. And we don't suddenly go, oh, well, I can't live in that universe now because no one broke the fourth wall. Apparently, there's a whole group of people called bronies who have no problem with Pinkie Pie breaking the fourth wall because it doesn't take away from the continuity of the show. Why didn't they break the fourth wall in this movie? It should have happened! Okay. Sorry. Just gonna relax. Maybe take a Benadryl. Cool off a minute. Okay. All right. Now I want to talk about the Indians in this movie. And yes, I'm using their words, so bear with me. The Indians, they were portrayed as, I don't want to say racist, but they run a gambling operation. They had a whole dance scene where there was like river dance. Indians doing river dance in Canada. It was like, wait, did you guys just throw stuff at the wall and say, hey, we got to have Indians in this movie because it's in the Dudley Do Right. So let's make them look like a proud people that are making the best of a bad situation. Let's have them gamble and do, Irish river dance. It didn't make any sense. There was a bike chase scene that didn't make any sense. It wasn't a cool bike chase scene like the speeders in Return of the Jedi, because that was new and it was different. No, there was this bike scene. There was a number of dance numbers and music numbers. I couldn't handle it. At one point, a bird poops on Snidely Whiplash. Why are there fart jokes in this movie? Why are there poop jokes in this movie? Oh, okay. There were just things that were wrong with this movie. It didn't combine anything in a way that I liked. It didn't make any sense. It wasn't a good melodrama. It wasn't a good comedy. And it had all of the right elements for comedy. You have Eric Idle, for Pete's sake. Eric Idle! He's so funny! Why didn't you do something with him? But instead, they baffed it. They biffed it. They botched it. Sorry, I have a 4-year-old. He watches Thomas the Tank Engine. Thomas the Tank Engine's funnier than this movie! I have watched so many stupid kids shows in my life. I've watched Thomas the Tank Engine. I've watched Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. I've laughed more at Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood than this movie! What is wrong with you? And so, I'm going to find something calming to do. You know, I need to find something calm to review. I need to cool off after this movie because I've built this movie up in my mind. I was so excited for it. I love melodrama. I love the history of melodrama. And this is like taking history and putting a fart joke on it, or a bird poop joke, or weird CG horse joke. It's wrong. It's just wrong. This movie loses. It gets nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some time and go home and rethink my life. And I'm probably going to review a stupid kids movie. Something that's almost funny. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to review Meet the Colors next. If you've not seen Meet the Colors, you will realize that Meet the Colors is better than Dudley Do Right. This is B Movies with Booze. I'm Mr. Booze, and don't forget to click like.